since we're on the topic of transgender issues, yeah, Jamar, you're on the line with J. Mike and Johnny, and you have insight for transgenderism and atheist stance on it. Give me your insight, because I just went on a little soapbox. I like to hear what your thoughts are about what I just said.
Well, my thoughts when it comes to the whole, I'm not sure if this is a current word now, transgenderism. I'm not sure. I'm just going off, what I hear in the atmosphere as far as transgender and transgenderism, cis, the current words used today.
Okay.
My personal stance when it comes to this subject is that I feel that transgender is, like it's always been something that people have, like it's always been around. I think now it's been more of an uptick lately as far as this kind of stuff. But there's always been drag queens. There's always been people who've dressed up as the opposite sex. Now, in the current day and age, we have surgery to where people can move further beyond that if they choose to. Now, my thing is, when it comes to this whole narrative, it seems like there's more of a push towards, saying, for example, when it comes to the supposed right-wing conservative, they say, well, what's a woman? And then to the supposed left-wing / liberal side, they say, well, trans women are women. Sure. I feel like a lot of this kind of stuff, I feel like when it comes to the whole transgenderism, I guess, of today, it's more of a heavy lean to trans women are women as opposed to trans women are women. I mean, trans women are trans women. And, that's my personal stance when it comes to that. I think gender, as I understand this, as far as the current atmosphere, gender is more of how you behave, and sex is what you were born as. I'm guessing that's exactly how people are using it today. And I was checking out Andrew Sullivan. He's a gay man who's effeminate. And I was watching him on Bill Maher. He said that, there's a stark contrast between him and his brother, but he heard something when he was younger that said, that, well, from one of his aunt, she said that, well, now you have a real boy, referring to his brother. And he says that, that's something that affects the mind of a kid when it comes to the whole trans stuff, because they feel as though they can't be an effeminate man, they must be a trans woman. And I feel like a lot of this atmosphere is just stirring confusion. I feel like people who are trans people would just be an effeminate version or a stud-style masculine version and still be gay rather than be trans if it wasn't something that was so mainstream to the point of saying, okay, this is who you are, or you were born in the wrong body.
Well, I'll tell you, Jamar, I know that's probably a lot of, I don't know if you have a lot of connections with people in the transgender community, individuals who are transgender or whatever it might be. I'm not going to belabor this point for too much longer. I appreciate your call, but I would say this: it's not for me or you, unless you're transgender, to say what the experience of another, if it's real or not, or that it reflects their individual identity, their own gender expression or not. I can tell you that, tomboys and effeminate men are one thing, and then trans men, trans women are another. It's not for me to call balls and strikes on that one. I think that a person who is transgender and who has that experience and has that identity and has probably worked with it for their entire lives probably knows a heck of a lot more, and it's not really going to add anything to their experience, their knowledge, their reality. If Johnny P. Angel asserts an opinion about it, I don't know if Jamar, I don't know if it's going to add anything if you do either. But I can tell you that when somebody tells you something about their own internal experience, you kind of have to listen to them. Now, if they're saying that I'm transgender because, I don't know, an angel showed up or an alien showed up, you can argue the source of what made them that, whether it's societally generated, chemically, evolutionarily derived, or what have you. But are you going to deny that they have the experience? Are you going to deny the reality of it? I don't know. I wouldn't.
I'm sorry, but my question is that, well, from the quote unquote right / conservative side, right, they usually take the same position as the what you would take as it pertains to them talking about their beliefs. So they feel this or they feel that. This is your personal experience, but it's not rooted in reality. That's their position when it comes to that. That's why they don't accept that. And I'm not saying that they should have their will imposed on other people, but I'm just saying from the standpoint of just the whole narrative itself. How come atheists don't take that kind of position when it comes to narratives such as trans women are women?
We've had this conversation on this show before. Many hosts have covered this topic. There's a difference. The theist, no, it's okay. And I'm gonna sort of give you a roundup of it. The theist tells you that they have an experience of God and that they're making an external claim about reality outside of themselves, about the nature of reality. The transgender person is telling you about their internal reality. And furthermore, if sex and gender are two different concepts, and I really do believe they are, because it makes sense that they are if you think about it for 5 seconds.
Your biology textbooks even make a distinction on this.
Yeah, and advanced scientific understanding of sex and gender rather than elementary school understandings of sex and gender. That they, sorry, I lost my train of thought, but they're telling, no, it's good. They're telling you something about their personal state of existence. And they're telling you about their expression, their what makes them comfortable, their form of. Now you can deny, you can call them all deranged, you can say that they're all mentally ill or that they are victims of a toxic culture. And I agree that we are all victims of a toxic culture in some form or another. But the difference is that the transgender person, the LGBT person, of generally speaking, and even the cis het straight person is telling you, reporting to you what it's like to be them, right? Not what it's like, at the beginning of time or what it's like in other dimensions. Yeah. They're actually telling you about their personal experience, and that's the difference. So, Mike, last thought?
Yeah, well, you said the one thing I wanted to chime in, you picked it up, so I don't want to waste the rest of the callers' times by rehashing it. But there's a big distinction on this kind of having this belief. You have an attitude towards something that you think is true, right? And that be God exists. And you're talking about some external factor, how the way the world works or mechanisms. So it's not going to be analogous in the case it seems that you want to derive, because we're talking about a qualitative experience or what somebody what their own makeup is, or their biology, or their internal psychological states, right? All of these things don't seem to be analogous in the way that the example is hoping to make it, at least from my perspective.
Okay. Yeah. All right. Thank you so much for calling, Jamar. You take care. Hey, like the last caller, talk to some people who are actually experiencing this firsthand. Read some books, Judith Butler's Gender Trouble, other books that are more modern than that, obviously. And, keep on exploring, keep on asking those questions. I think that society is trying to find a new equilibrium now that folks in the LGBTQ community aren't actively worried 24 hours a day about being murdered for who they are. I mean, there are still laws and individuals who would do that, but it's a little different. They've had some breathing room and they want to express themselves, and they're tired of the shit. Pardon my language.